In a world that constantly demands your attention and emotional energy, your peace of mind is the ultimate currency. Become Untouchable is not about building walls or becoming a robot, it is about developing a psychological suit of armor. This guide teaches you the subtle art of emotional detachment, the ability to remain calm in the center of a storm. Learn to recognize manipulation before it takes root, neutralize provocation with indifference, and step away from drama without a second thought. Discover how to protect your inner sanctuary while staying deeply connected to your own purpose. You don't have to be cold to be free, you just have to be untouchable. Chapter 1: The Death of the Reaction. You are being played. Every single day, you are stepping into traps you didn't even know were set. You wake up, you check your phone, and you see a comment that makes your blood boil. You go to work, and a colleague takes a passive-aggressive swipe at your latest project. You come home, and someone in your life knows exactly which button to press to make you explode. And what do? You react. You defend. You explain. You argue. You shout. In that moment, you think you are standing up for yourself. You think you are showing strength. You couldn't be more wrong. In that exact moment, you have become a puppet. You have handed the remote control of your emotions to someone else and said, "Here, press whatever button you like. Make me angry. Make me sad. Make me desperate for your approval." They want the reaction. Do not give it to them. Understand this: every provocation is a bid for your energy. When someone provokes you, they are essentially a beggar asking for a piece of your soul. They are starving for significance, and they've decided that the easiest way to feel powerful is to pull you out of your peace. If they can make you lose your cool, they own you. If they can make you stutter in frustration, they have won. You have a choice. You have always had a choice, but you've been conditioned to ignore it. You've been told that being authentic means expressing every fleeting emotion you feel. That's a lie. Real authenticity is being the master of your internal state, regardless of the external chaos. It is not about being a robot, it is about being a king or queen who does not move for commoners. It's not about your lack of feeling, it's about your abundance of discipline. That's the key. Let's look at why this happens. Your brain is wired for survival. Thousands of years ago, a social slight could mean exile from the tribe, which meant certain death. Your amygdala, that ancient lizard part of your brain, still thinks every insult is a predator in the tall grass. It triggers the fight or flight response. Your heart races. Your breath gets shallow. Your vision narrows. You feel the urgent burning need to strike back. But we don't live in the jungle anymore. We live in a world of psychological warfare. Modern drama has hijacked your biological survival mechanisms to keep you exhausted and compliant. When you react to every predator on social media or in the office, you are living in a state of constant low-grade trauma. You are burning through your cognitive reserves for people who don't even matter. They want the reaction. Do not give it to them. Think about a standard Tuesday morning. You're in a boardroom. You've put weeks of work into a presentation. Then a coworker, someone you know is threatened by your talent, looks at your data and says with a smirk, "This seems a bit amateur, don't you think? Did you actually double-check these sources?" The room goes silent. All eyes are on you. In the old version of your life, you would feel the heat rise in your neck. You would start talking fast. You would get defensive. You would say, "Actually, I spent 30 hours on this, and my sources are industry standard, and if you had read the report I sent Monday." Stop. Look at yourself in that scenario. You look desperate. You look rattled. You look like someone who is trying to prove their worth. By defending yourself, you have validated their insult. You've treated their baseless jab as if it were a legitimate critique. You've given them exactly what they wanted, a public display of your insecurity. Now, imagine the untouchable version. The insult is hurled. You feel the impulse to defend, but you kill it. You let the silence hang in the air for 3 long seconds. You look at them with a look of mild, detached curiosity, the way a scientist looks at a strange bug. You don't scowl. You don't tilt your head. You simply let their words sit there, dying in the open air. Then you say, "Interesting perspective." Moving on to slide 4. Who has the power now? You didn't give them a single drop of emotional fuel. Because you didn't react, their insult didn't land. It just fell on the floor and made them look small, petty, and desperate for attention. You don't need their permission to be right. If you know your work is solid, why do you need to convince a hater? If you know you are a person of integrity, why are you arguing with a liar? When you stop trying to prove your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, you become dangerous to the status quo. You become a ghost in their machine. It's not about your ego, it's about your sovereignty. Every time you feel that itch to respond to a text, to clap back at a comment, or to win a pointless argument with a family member, I want you to pause. I want you to physically feel the reaction rising in your chest, and I want you to watch it die. Starve it. They want the reaction. Do not give it to them. This is the death of the reaction. It is the realization that your internal peace is a fortress, and the gate is only open from the inside. No one can make you angry. They can only offer you the gift of anger. It is your choice whether or not to accept it. Most people spend their whole lives accepting every piece of garbage that is thrown their way. They are walking landfills of other people's bad moods. You are finished with that. From this moment on, you are going to practice the art of the pause. When the provocation comes, you will count to 5. In those 5, Chapter 2, your silence is a weapon. The loudest person in the room is almost always the weakest. We live in a world that is terrified of the void. People are obsessed with finding their voice, but they have no idea how to find their silence. They think that by talking, they are asserting dominance. They think that by explaining, they are being understood. They are wrong. Most people talk because they are leaking. They are leaking anxiety, leaking insecurity, and leaking power. Silence is strength. Speech is a leak. When you speak, you give the world information. You give them your thoughts, your intentions, and your weaknesses. You give them a map of how you think. But when you are silent, you are a closed book. You are a fortress with the lights turned off. No one knows if the building is empty or if there is an army waiting inside. That uncertainty is where your power lives. You have a choice. You can be the person who fills the dead air because you're uncomfortable, or you can be the person who owns the air. Most people cannot handle 3 seconds of silence in a conversation. They feel a physical pressure to speak, to joke, to complain, or to defend. They are slaves to the social vacuum. You must become the master of it. That's the key. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It is an active, aggressive tool. It is a psychological vacuum. When you stop talking, other people feel an overwhelming, almost biological urge to fill that space. And because they are reacting out of discomfort, they will say things they didn't intend to say. They will over-explain. They will reveal their motives. They will stumble into contradictions. It's not about being shy, it's about discipline. Let's look at how this works in the real world. Imagine you are in a high-stakes negotiation. Or perhaps you're in a heated argument with a partner or a friend who is trying to blame you for something. They finish their point. They throw the ball into your court. They are waiting for your defense. They are waiting for you to get loud. Don't move. Don't blink. Don't say a word. Count to 5 in your head. Watch them. You will see the transition happen in real time. First, they will look expectant. Then, they will look confused. Finally, they will look panicked. To fill the silence, they will keep talking. They might say, "Well, I mean, it's not just your fault. I guess I could have done better too." Or are you even listening? Because if you're not, then we should just. By doing nothing, you have forced them to negotiate against themselves. You have forced them to expose their own hand while you haven't even picked yours up yet. You didn't need to argue. You didn't need to shout. You just had to be the person who was more comfortable with the silence than they were. Silence is strength. Speech is a leak. Every time you feel the need to explain yourself, you are losing. Why are you explaining? To be understood? To be liked? To prove you're right? You don't need their permission to be right. When you explain yourself to someone who has provoked you, you are essentially saying, "Please understand me so that you'll stop being mean to me." That is the language of a victim. An untouchable person does not explain. They decide. They act. They remain. If someone accuses you of something ridiculous, and you know the truth, why are you wasting your breath? A lion doesn't explain its hunger to the sheep. It just moves. Stop the social leak. Stop narrating your life to people who haven't earned the right to hear it. Stop telling everyone your plans before you've even started the work. Every time you announce your goals, you get a hit of dopamine that makes your brain think the work is already done. It's a leak. Every time you complain about your boss or your ex, you are leaking the energy you should be using to build your own empire. It's not about being cold, it's about focus. You must learn the stare of the sovereign. When someone says something meant to rattle you, look them in the eye and say nothing. Let the silence do the work. Let the silence be the mirror that reflects their own ugliness back at them. If they ask, "What are you looking at?" or "Why aren't you saying anything?" you simply give them a small, knowing smile and go back to what you were doing. You have just performed a psychological surgery. You have removed their power and kept your own. You have shown them that their words do not have the weight required to move your tongue. That's the key. Your words are expensive. Stop handing them out like flyers on a street corner. If you speak 10 words a day, those 10 words will have the weight of gold. If you speak 10,000, they will be treated like trash. Silence is strength. Speech is a leak. Think about the most powerful people you've ever met. They don't ramble. They don't fill the room with and nervous laughter. They speak in short, declarative sentences, and then they stop. They allow the weight of their words to land. They don't check your face to see if you agree. They don't care if you agree. You have a choice. You can be the noise, or you can be the ground the noise falls on. People will try to pull you out of your silence. They will call you arrogant. They will call you weird. They will call you stuck up. Let them. These are just labels used by the weak to try and shame the strong back into the herd. They are terrified of your silence because they can't control what they can't hear. Stop being an open book for people who can't read. Stop being a radio station that plays 24/7 for an audience that doesn't pay for the subscription. Today, your mission is simple. Speak 50% less than you did yesterday. If a question can be answered with a nod, nod. If an insult can be met with a pause, pause. Watch how the world reacts to the new silent version of you. They will become more careful around you. They will start to weigh their own words. They will begin to respect you, not because they like you, but because they are slightly afraid of you. And they should be. A person who can control their tongue can control their life. Silence is strength. Speech is a leak. You have learned to kill the reaction. You have learned to weaponize the silence. You are becoming a ghost in their machine. But there is still Chapter 3. Cut the strings of validation. You are currently living as a beggar. It doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account or what title is on your business card. If you are waking up every morning wondering what they think of you, you are destitute. You are walking through your life with invisible hooks in your skin, and you have handed the strings to every stranger, coworker, and friend you encounter. You are waiting for them to pull the string that says "good job," so you can finally feel a spark of worth. Stop. Look at yourself. This is the ultimate form of emotional slavery. Validation is a debt you can never pay off. Think about the last time you did something truly great. Did you enjoy the achievement, or did you immediately start thinking about how to frame it for other people? Did you feel the pride in your gut, or did you wait for the likes to roll in before you gave yourself permission to feel successful? If your worth is based on their applause, your identity is a house of cards built on a windy day. You have a choice. You can continue to be a heat-seeking missile for approval, or you can cut the strings. You can decide that your opinion of yourself is the only one that carries a vote. Most people are terrified of this. They think that without external validation, they will disappear. They think that if no one is watching, their progress doesn't count. That's the key. Progress that is made in the dark is the only progress that is real. Anyone can perform when the cameras are on. Anyone can work hard when the crowd is cheering. But who are you when the room is empty? Who are you when no one is there to tell you well done? The person who can work in the dark, without a single soul knowing their progress, is the most dangerous person in the room. Why? Because they cannot be manipulated. Validation is a debt you can never pay off. When you seek validation, you're taking out a high-interest loan on your happiness. You get a quick hit of dopamine when someone praises you. That's the loan hitting your account. But the interest rate is astronomical. Because once they've praised you, you are now terrified of losing that praise. You start modifying your behavior to keep them happy. You stop saying what you think and start saying what they want to hear. You become a curated, hollow version of yourself. And here is the dark truth. If you need their good job to feel worthy, you will need their mercy when they decide to criticize you. The same hand that feeds you the praise is the hand that will eventually slap you. If you give them the power to make you feel like a king, you have simultaneously given them the power to make you feel like a peasant. It's not about insecurity, it's about the discipline of self-worth. Let's look at the modern plague, social media. This is the global headquarters of the validation debt. Most people aren't living their lives. They are producing a show about their lives. They go to dinner to take a photo of the food. They go to the gym to take a photo of the sweat. They are more concerned with the image of the work than the result of the work. Now, look at the untouchable individual. They stop posting. They go ghost. They spend 6 months, a year, 2 years, working in total silence. They build their body. They build their business. They build their mind. When they finally emerge, they don't need to ask for respect, they radiate it. They don't need your like, because they have the physical, undeniable evidence of their own discipline. They have already paid themselves in full. Validation is a debt you can never pay off. You must stop asking for permission to exist. Look at your daily habits. How many times a day do you ask, "What do you think of this?" Or "Do you think I should?" Stop asking. Make the decision. Take the risk. If it fails, you own the failure. If it succeeds, you own the success. You don't need their permission. You don't need the permission of your parents to change your career. You don't need the permission of your peers to change your lifestyle. You don't need the permission of the algorithm to know you are valuable. When you stop seeking approval, you gain something far more valuable: authority. Authority is the result of internal consensus. It is what happens when you decide once and for all that your standards are the only ones that matter. If you are satisfied with your effort, the world's critique is just background noise. If you are dissatisfied with your effort, the world's praise is a lie. That's the key. You must become your own harshest critic and your own most loyal supporter. You must build an internal court of law where you are the judge, the jury, and the executioner. If you find yourself guilty of laziness, you don't need a boss to fire you, you fire that version of yourself. If you find yourself doing the work, you don't need a trophy, the work is the trophy. Validation is a debt you can never pay off. Every time you check to see how someone responded to your work, you are leaking power. Every time you explain your choices to someone who didn't ask, you are begging for a pass grade. From this moment on, I want you to practice the hidden win. Do something today that is difficult, impressive, or disciplined, and tell absolutely no one. Don't tweet it. Don't text your best friend about it. Don't tell your partner. Keep it as a secret between you and your soul. Feel the power that comes from knowing something about yourself that the world doesn't know. That secret is the foundation of your new fortress. That secret is the first brick in the wall of your emotional detachment. Most people are like leaky buckets. They get a little bit of success and they have to pour it out immediately just to get a wow from someone else. You are going to be a sealed vault. You are going to accumulate your wins until they become an undeniable force. It's not about ego, it's about sovereignty. The reason you are so easily manipulated by others is that they know exactly what you're hungry for. They see you starving for a compliment, so they dangle one in front of you to get you to do what they want. Or they see you're afraid of disapproval, so they threaten you with a cold shoulder. When you stop needing their validation, you become impossible to bait. You become a ghost. You become untouchable. Validation is a debt you can never pay off. You have learned to kill the reaction. You have learned to weaponize the silence. Now, you have cut the strings of validation. You are no longer a puppet. You are standing on your own 2 feet, in a room where no one's opinion can reach you. But being free from others is only half the battle. Now, you must secure the interior. You must build a home inside your own mind that is so strong, no storm can shake it. You stopped looking for their light. Now, let's talk about building your own sun. Chapter 4: The Fortress of Internal Sovereignty. Right now, your mind is a public park. Think about that. A public park has no gates. It has no guards. Anyone can walk in at any time. They can throw their trash on your lawn. They can spray paint their opinions on your walls. They can trample over your flowers and leave whenever they feel like it, leaving you to clean up the mess. This is how you are living. You are letting the mood of your boss, the attitude of your spouse, and the chaos of the news cycle walk right into your internal world and set up camp. Stop being a public park. It is time to become a fortress. My peace is non-negotiable. Understand what sovereignty means. Sovereignty is the state of being a self-governing ruler. It means that within the borders of your own mind, you are the only one who makes the laws. You are the only one who determines the value of the currency. You are the only one who decides who is allowed in and who is kicked out. Most people have no sovereignty. They are colonies of other people's expectations. They are being taxed by other people's drama, and they are paying that tax with their own sanity. You have a choice. You can remain a colony, or you can declare independence. You can decide today that your internal world is off limits to the uninvited. This isn't about being nice. This isn't about being approachable. This is about survival. If you do not build a wall around your peace, the world will tear it to pieces. That's the key. A fortress isn't built to be mean, it's built to be secure. When you have a fortress of internal sovereignty, external events change their nature. They stop being disasters or victories, and they start being weather. Think about a mountain. A mountain does not care if it is raining. A mountain does not care if the sun is shining or if a blizzard is howling around its peak. The mountain is the mountain. The weather is just something that happens to it, but it never becomes it. My peace is non-negotiable. Most of you are the weather, not the mountain. If the sun is out, you're happy. If it rains, you're depressed. If there's a storm, you're in a panic. You are a victim of the atmosphere. But an untouchable person stays the same. Their self-worth is sealed. It is locked in a vault deep within the fortress. It's not about your circumstances, it's about your discipline. Look at the world of elite performance. Think about a professional athlete standing on a free throw line. There are 20,000 people screaming for them to fail. There are cameras inches from their face. There is a clock ticking down to zero. If that athlete's self-worth was tied to the crowd, they would collapse. If they listened to the boos, they would miss. If they listened to the cheers, they might get overconfident and sloppy. The elite athlete is a fortress. They have practiced in the dark so many times that the crowd has become invisible noise. They aren't playing for the crowd's approval, they are playing for their own standard. Whether the crowd loves them or hates them is irrelevant. The ball must go in the hoop. That is the only reality. Their internal state is sealed. You don't need their permission to be a mountain. You don't need the world to be quiet for you to be peaceful. You don't need people to be kind for you to be centered. If you wait for the world to stop being chaotic before you find your peace, you will be waiting until you are in a grave. The world is designed to be loud. It is designed to be provocative. Your job is not to change the world. Your job is to change your relationship to it. My peace is non-negotiable. How do you build this fortress? You start by setting your own internal standards, standards that have nothing to do with results. Most people say, "I'll feel good when I get the promotion." That's a leak. An untouchable person says, "I will be disciplined and focused today, regardless of whether I am promoted or fired." When your standard is your own behavior, you are invincible. Why? Because you are in total control of your behavior. You are never in total control of the promotion. That's the key. You must move from outcome dependence to standard dependence. If your standard is to be a person of integrity, and someone lies about you, your fortress remains standing. Why? Because their lie didn't change your integrity. If your standard is to be a person of calm, and someone screams at you, your fortress remains standing. Why? Because their screaming didn't change your calm. It's not about their behavior, it's about your sovereignty. Every morning, when you wake up, you need to man the walls. Before you check your phone, which is essentially inviting 1,000 strangers into your bedroom, you must set your internal perimeter. You tell yourself, the weather will happen today. People will be people. Chaos will be chaos. But none of it gets inside the gate. My peace is non-negotiable. When you live this way, people will notice a change in you. They will try to find a crack in the wall. They will poke and prod. They will say things like, "You've changed," or "You're so cold lately." What they really mean is, "I can no longer use you as a dumping ground for my own garbage." They are upset because they lost their public park. Let them be upset. Their disappointment is just more weather. You have a choice. You can be liked by everyone and have a mind full of trash, or you can be respected by the few and have a mind that is a sanctuary. Sovereignty is lonely at first. The herd doesn't like it when someone leaves the pasture to build a castle. But once that castle is built, those same people will come knocking on your door when their own lives are in ruins, looking for the strength you possess. You don't need their permission. You don't need a certificate to be the master of your soul. You simply decide. You decide that from this moment on, your joy is your own. Your pain is your own. Your worth is your own. You stop exporting your emotional labor to people who aren't on your payroll. My peace is non-negotiable. Think of the energy you will save. Think of the hours of replaying conversations in your head that you will suddenly get back. When you are a fortress, you don't need to replay anything. What they said happened out there. It stayed out there. It never breached the walls. You are free to use your energy for your mission, for your growth, and for your life. It's not about being hard, it's about being solid. A fortress can still have a beautiful garden inside. It can still have warmth and love inside. But it is protected. It is chosen. It is sovereign. My peace is non-negotiable. You have killed the reaction. You have weaponized silence. You have cut the strings of validation. Now, you have built the fortress. You are standing on the ramparts, looking out at the world. You see the drama, the manipulation, and the noise, but it can no longer touch you. You are safe. You are sovereign. You are untouchable. But there is one final step to truly mastering this landscape. To truly dominate the environment, you must learn to look at the storm and feel absolutely nothing at all. You have built the walls. Now you must master the view. You secured the gates. Now, let's talk about the cold, clear vision of the master. Chapter 5. Neutrality is your greatest power. The world is obsessed with taking sides. From the moment you wake up, you are pressured to have an opinion. Are you for this or against that? Do you love this person or do you hate them? Is this news good or is it bad? You are being pushed constantly into the twin traps of like and dislike. Most people think that having strong opinions makes them interesting or passionate. They are wrong. It makes them predictable. It makes them controllable. It makes them weak. Be the observer, not the participant. When you take a side, you stop seeing. The moment you decide you hate someone, you lose the ability to learn from them. The moment you decide you love an idea, you lose the ability to see its flaws. Your emotions have clouded the glass. You are no longer looking at the world as it is. You are looking at the world as you feel it. That is a recipe for disaster. You have a choice. You can be the person who is tossed around by the waves of their own opinions, or you can be the lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't care if the sea is choppy or calm. It doesn't judge the waves. It simply stands. It shines its light. It observes. That's the key. Neutrality is not apathy. Apathy is when you don't care because you're lazy or defeated. Neutrality is a high-level discipline. It is the active decision to occupy the 0 point between extremes. When you are neutral, you have a 360-degree view of the battlefield. While everyone else is blinded by the red mist of anger or the golden haze of infatuation, you see the movement of the pieces. You see the truth. Be the observer, not the participant. Think about a typical family argument. We've all been there. It's a holiday dinner, or a Sunday afternoon. Someone brings up a sensitive topic. Maybe it's politics, maybe it's an old grudge, maybe it's a criticism of someone's life choices. Within minutes, the room is vibrating with tension. Voices are rising. People are leaning forward, ready to strike or defend. In the old version of your life, you would have jumped in. You would have taken a side. You would have felt that familiar tightening in your chest. You would have started formulating your killer argument. You would have become just another screaming head at the table. But look at the untouchable individual in that same room. They are leaning back. They are breathing deeply. They are watching. Because they haven't taken a side, they can see exactly what is actually happening. They see that Aunt Maria isn't actually mad about the dinner. She's feeling ignored and is using anger to get attention. They see that Brother John is only arguing because he's insecure about his job and needs to feel intellectually superior. By being neutral, you see the script behind the drama. You see the strings. And because you see the strings, you are the only person in that room who is truly free. You are the only one who isn't a puppet. It's not about being cold, it's about the discipline of perception. You don't need their permission to stay neutral. People will try to force you into the fray. They will say, "Why aren't you saying anything?" Or "Whose side are you on anyway?" They feel threatened by your neutrality. They want you to join the chaos because your calm makes their insanity look obvious. If you join them, they feel validated. If you stay neutral, they feel exposed. Stay neutral. Be the observer, not the participant. In your professional life, neutrality is your greatest strategic advantage. When a crisis hits the office, everyone panics. They start pointing fingers. They start worrying about their jobs. They start liking the people who agree with them and disliking the people who point out the problem. If you remain neutral, you become the most valuable asset in the building. While they are busy being emotional, you are busy being analytical. You aren't looking for someone to blame, you are looking for a path to the goal. You are looking at the data, not the drama. This is why the person who can stay neutral is usually the person who ends up in the corner office. They are the only ones who can be trusted to see clearly when the pressure is on. That's the key. Neutrality is the ultimate filter. It filters out the noise and leaves only the signal. Most of what people tell you is noise. Most of what you see on the news is noise. Most of your own fleeting thoughts are noise. When you practice the discipline of being the observer, you stop wasting your life force on the irrelevant. Be the observer, not the participant. How do you practice this? It starts with your language. Stop using emotionally charged words. Instead of saying "that guy is an idiot," say "that individual is behaving in a way that is counterproductive." Instead of saying "this situation is a nightmare," say "this situation is a complex challenge with several variables." Do you see the difference? The first version traps you in a feeling. The second version keeps you in an analytical state. You are describing the world, not judging it. Judgment is a heavy weight that you carry. Description is a tool that you use. Drop the weight. Use the tool. You have a choice. Every time you feel that surge of "I like this" or "I hate this," I want you to step back. Imagine you are a camera mounted on the wall. Watch yourself feeling the emotion. Do not try to stop the emotion, just observe it. Say to yourself, "I am observing a feeling of irritation rising in my body." The moment you label the feeling, you have separated yourself from it. You are no longer the irritation, you are the one witnessing the irritation. It's not about being a robot, it's about being the master of the machine. When you are the observer, you are untouchable. Why? Because you can't be baited. A bait only works if the fish wants to eat it. If the fish is just observing the bait, the fisherman has no power. The manipulator's greatest fear is the person who looks at their manipulation and says, "I see what you are doing," without getting angry. Your lack of anger is their defeat. Be the observer, not the participant. The world is a theater. Most people spend their lives on the stage, sweating, screaming, and crying for an audience that isn't even watching. You are moving to the back of the house. You are sitting in the director's chair. You are watching the play. You see the actors flubbing their lines. You see the cardboard sets. You see the wires holding up the special effects. You are no longer part of the show. You are the one who understands how the show works. You don't need their permission to leave the stage. You can step off whenever you want. You can decide that today, you will not be a... Chapter 6, Starve the Narcissist's Ego. We are going to talk about the vampires. Not the ones from the movies, but the ones sitting across from you at the dinner table, the ones blowing up your phone, and the ones sitting in the office next to yours. These are the manipulators. The narcissists. The people who don't just want your time, they want your soul. They are addicted to a very specific substance, and you have been their primary supplier for far too long. That substance is your emotional energy. No fuel, no fire. Understand the psychology of the parasite. A narcissist does not care if you love them or if you hate them. They don't care if you are crying with joy or screaming in rage. To them, both of those things are the same. They are supply. They are evidence that they have power over you. They are proof that they can reach into your chest and twist your heart whenever they feel like it. Most people think they are fighting back when they get angry at a manipulator. They think they are winning the argument when they finally tell them off. You are not winning. You are feeding them a feast. You have a choice. You can remain a battery for their ego, or you can shut down the power plant. You can decide that your emotions are a private resource, not a public utility. Most people are afraid to stop responding because they want the last word. They want the manipulator to finally understand how much they've been hurt. That's the key. A manipulator will never understand your pain because your pain is exactly what they are looking for. Your tears are their trophies. Your long, explanatory text messages are their love letters. When you send a 3-paragraph response defending your character, they don't read it for the content. They read it to see how much you still care. They see that you are still hooked. They see that they still own a piece of your mind. No fuel, no fire. Let's look at a real-world scenario. You finally walked away from a toxic relationship. You're trying to build your fortress. Then, at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, your phone buzzes. It's a text from them. It says something specifically designed to bypass your defenses. Maybe it's an insult. I saw you out today. You look like you've really given up on yourself. Or maybe it's a fake olive branch. I was just thinking about that time in Paris. I hope you're happy even though you destroyed us. In the old version of your life, the reactionary version, you would be triggered. You would feel that heat in your stomach. You would start typing. You would defend yourself. I haven't given up on myself, I'm doing better than ever. Or I didn't destroy us, you were the one who lied. Stop. Look at what you are doing. You are handing them a match. You are giving them exactly what they need to start a fire that will burn for the next 3 days. You are giving them fuel. The untouchable response is much simpler. You don't respond at all. Or if a response is absolutely necessary for logistics, you give them a gray rock answer. Okay. Received. I disagree, but that is your right. You become as boring and unreactive as a pebble on the ground. A narcissist cannot play with a pebble. A manipulator cannot control a stone. It's not about being mean, it's about the discipline of emotional starvation. You don't need their permission to stop the game. You don't need them to agree that the conversation is over. You just stop talking. You don't need them to see your side. You just move on. When you stop being a source of fuel, the narcissist will do one of two things. They will escalate, or they will leave. If they escalate, they will get louder, meaner, and more desperate. They will try every button they have ever used on you. This is the extinction burst. It is the sound of the parasite starving to death. If you hold the line, if you remain neutral, if you stay in your fortress, they will eventually realize there is nothing left for them here. They will move on to find a new victim who is still willing to play the game. Let them. Your job is not to save the world from narcissists. Your job is to make yourself indigestible to them. No fuel, no fire. Why is this so hard? Because your ego wants to win. Your ego wants to set the record straight. You have to realize that it's not about your flaws, it's about your discipline. Your desire to be understood by a manipulator is a flaw in your armor. Your need to prove that they are the bad guy is a leash they use to pull you back into the mud. That's the key. You must be willing to be the villain in their story if it means being the hero in your own. Let them tell everyone you're cold. Let them tell everyone you're crazy. Let them tell everyone you're the one who failed. Their words are just noise outside your walls. If you don't react to the lies have no power. If you don't fight the smear campaign, The smear campaign has no audience. No fuel, no fire. Mastering this discipline means you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Every time you explain, you are begging. Every time you justify your choices to a toxic person, you are giving them the fuel of your submission. Stop the leak. If a toxic family member starts a drama-filled monologue at a holiday event, look at them with the neutral curiosity we discussed in Chapter 5. Say, "I hear you," and then go back to eating your dinner. When they realize they can't get a rise out of you, they will feel a surge of powerless frustration. That is the only way to truly win. You win by not participating in the contest. It's not about your anger, it's about your absence. A fire without wood dies. A vampire without blood starves. A narcissist without a reaction disappears. You have spent years being the wood, the blood, and the reaction. You have been the sun that their world revolved around. It is time to go dark. It is time to become an emotional black hole where their provocations go to die. You have a choice. You can be the person who is right but exhausted, or you can be the person who is silent but free. You have been addicted to the drama just as much as they have. You have to admit that part of you liked the intensity of the fight. You have to kill that part of yourself. You have to trade the high of the argument for the peace of the fortress. No fuel, no fire. From this moment on, your energy is a closed loop. It stays with you. You don't spend it on people who hate you. You don't spend it on people who use you. You don't spend it on people who only see you as a mirror for their own ego. You are starving the parasites out of your life. It will be quiet. It might even feel lonely at first. But in that silence, you will finally hear the sound of your own voice. That's the key. When you stop feeding the fire of others, you have all that energy left over to build your own flame. You have the focus to build your business. No fuel, no fire. You have learned to kill the reaction. You have weaponized silence. You have cut the validation strings and built your fortress. You have achieved neutrality and starved the parasites. You are standing in a place of immense internal power. But there is a final layer of attachment to shed. You are still holding on to the why. You are still looking at the results. To be truly untouchable, you must learn to move through the world without being tied to what happens next. You mastered the people. Now, it's time to master the outcomes. Chapter 7. Disconnect to dominate the outcome. Desperation has a scent. It is a thick, cloying odor that clings to your skin, follows you into every meeting, and screams from every text message you send. You might think you're hiding it. You might think your professional smile and your rehearsed pitch are masking your need. They aren't. Everyone around you can smell it. Your boss smells it. Your clients smell it. Your enemies smell it. And the moment they catch that scent, you have lost. You are no longer the hunter, you are the prey. Detach from the result, focus on the process. When you are desperate for a specific outcome, you are a hostage. If you need that person to like you, they own you. If you need that deal to close to feel successful, the deal owns you. If you need the world to acknowledge your talent before you'll keep working, the world owns you. Most people spend their lives in this state of emotional panhandling, begging the universe for a specific yes, so they can finally breathe. You have a choice. You can be the beggar, or you can be the master. You can be the person who is paralyzed by the what if, or you can be the person who is focused entirely on the what is. The what if is the outcome. The what is the work. That's the key. Dominance doesn't come from wanting the win more than everyone else. Everyone wants to win. Dominance comes from being the only person in the room who is willing to walk away without the win. The person who is not afraid to lose is the only person who is truly free to play at their highest level. When you are detached, you are dangerous. You are clear-headed. You are untouchable. Detach from the result, focus on the process. Look at the world of high-stakes sales and negotiation. Most salespeople are terrified of the no. They see a no as a personal rejection, a financial disaster, a blow to their ego. Because they are afraid of the no, they become pushy. They become needy. They start making concessions they shouldn't make. They lower their price. They compromise their integrity. They smell like desperation, and the client instinctively pulls back. But look at the elite closer. The elite closer walks into the room with total detachment. They know their product is valuable. They know their time is finite. They want the deal, but they don't need the deal. If the terms aren't right, they are the first to stand up and say, "It looks like we're not a fit. Thank you for your time." What happens in that moment? The power dynamic shifts instantly. The other person realizes that they cannot manipulate the salesperson through their need. They realize they are dealing with a sovereign individual. Ironically, the person who is most willing to walk away from the deal is almost always the one who gets the best terms. It's not about being lucky, it's about the discipline of detachment. You don't need their permission to win. You only need your own permission to perform. When you are too attached to the result, your brain is focused on the future, a future that doesn't exist yet. You are worried about the trophy, while you should be worried about your footwork. You are worried about the applause, while you should be worried about the notes. This split focus makes you sloppy. It makes you prone to mistakes. It makes you weak. Detach from the result. Focus on the process. Think about your own life. Think about that person you've been trying to impress. Every time you send a check-in text because they haven't replied, you are leaking power. Every time you refresh your email to see if that offer came through, you are feeding your own anxiety. You are telling your brain that your happiness is dependent on someone else's decision. Stop it. Stop checking. Stop hovering. Stop begging the universe to move at your speed. That's the key. The process is the only thing you actually control. You control your effort. You control your preparation. You control your discipline. You do not control the outcome. You never have, and you never will. By obsessing over the outcome, you are wasting your energy on a ghost. By focusing on the process, you are investing your energy in reality. If you are a writer, your process is the words on the page. Detach from the bestseller list. Focus on the sentence. If you are an entrepreneur, your process is the product and the service. Detach from the IPO. Focus on the customer. If you are building your body, your process is the lift and the meal. Detach from the mirror. Focus on the weight. It's not about the destination, it's about the discipline of the journey. When you truly detach, you become a force of nature. You perform with a cold, surgical precision because you aren't afraid of the consequences of failure. You are all in on the work, but all out on the expectation. This is the state of flow that elite performers talk about. It is the moment when the ego disappears because the ego is the part of you that cares about the result. When the ego is gone, only the excellence remains. Detach from the result, focus on the process. People will find your detachment unsettling. They will think you are arrogant. They will think you don't care. Let them. Their confusion is a sign of your growth. They are still trapped in the need. They are still vibrating with the anxiety of the outcome. Your calm, detached focus makes them feel the weight of their own desperation. You have a choice. You can be the person who is crushed by a no, or you can be the person who sees a no as just another piece of data. If the result didn't go your way, fine. The observer, the person we talked about in Chapter 5, looks at the failed result and asks, what was wrong with the process? They don't cry. They don't scream. They don't take it personally. They adjust the machine, and they go back to work. You don't need their permission to be successful. Success is a side effect of a mastered process. If you do the work better than anyone else, every single day, with total detachment from the noise, the world will eventually have no choice but to give you what you want. But here is the secret: by the time the world gives it to you, you won't even need it anymore. You will have found your satisfaction in the discipline itself. You will have become untouchable. Detach from the result, focus on the process. Every day, I want you to set a process goal, not a result goal. Don't say, I will make $1,000 today. Say, I will make 50 high-quality calls today. If you make the 50 calls and earn $0, you still won. You mastered the process. You held your discipline. The money will come as a mathematical certainty of a perfected process, but your peace remains because you did what you said you would do. This is how you dominate. You dominate by being the only one who isn't distracted by the mirage of the finish line. You dominate by being the only one who loves the grind more than the trophy. Detach from the result, focus on the process. You have killed the reaction. You have weaponized silence. You have cut the validation strings and built your fortress. You have achieved neutrality and starved the parasites. Now, you have disconnected from the outcome. You are moving through the world with the unstoppable momentum of a machine. But as you rise, as you become more successful and more detached, you will face a new challenge. Chapter 8: The Mirage of Social Approval. Stop looking at the crowd. They aren't looking at you. Not really. We live in an era where everyone is obsessed with a ghost. We call that ghost the public. We call it the algorithm. We call it what people might think. But here is the cold, hard truth that most people are too terrified to admit: the public does not exist. It is a nameless, faceless, fickle entity that has no skin in your game. They are a ghost. You are the reality. When you wake up at 4 a.m. to do the work, the public isn't there to congratulate you. When you fail and your bank account hits zero, the public isn't there to pay your rent. They are a collection of fleeting opinions, drifting through digital space like smoke. If you build your house on the foundation of their approval, you are building on a swamp. The architecture of the ghost. Most people spend 80% of their mental energy managing a reputation for people they don't even like. They censor their thoughts. They dilute their ambitions. They dress for people they will never meet and talk for people who aren't listening. Why? Because human beings are wired for tribal survival. In the caveman days, being cast out of the tribe meant death. But it is 2026. The tribe is now 1 billion strangers with smartphones who have the attention span of a fruit fly. If you do something great, they might cheer for 5 seconds. If you do something wrong, they might scream for 5 hours. By the next morning, they have moved on to the next outrage, the next trend, the next shiny object. They have forgotten you. But you are still left with the consequences of the choices you made to please them. You have a choice. You can be a puppet on 1,000 strings, twitching every time a stranger pulls one, or you can cut the strings and stand on your own 2 feet. That's the key. The moment you stop seeking their permission is the moment you become dangerous. It is the moment you become real. They are a ghost. You are the reality. The trap of the trend. Look at the high performers. Look at the icons who actually move the needle of history. Do you think they are checking Twitter to see if their strategy is trending? Do you think they care about cancel culture? No. They ignore the noise because they know the noise is fake. High performers understand that public respect is a lagging indicator. It doesn't come when you try to be liked. It comes when you refuse to be anything other than excellent. When you focus on your craft, the public might mock you. They might call you obsessed or weird. They might tell you that you're out of touch. Good. Let them talk. While they are busy talking, you are busy building. While they are chasing the ghost of social approval, you are mastering the reality of discipline. It's not about your image. It's not about your reputation. It's about your results. The public is fickle. They love a winner, but they secretly crave a car crash. If you live for their applause, you will die by their silence. You must develop a radical indifference to the peanut gallery. They are a ghost. You are the reality. Behavioral instruction, the audit of influence. I want you to look at your last 3 major decisions. Why did you buy that car? Why did you take that job? Why did you post that perfect photo? If the answer involves the word them, you are losing. You are bleeding out your power to a phantom. Stop doing. Stop checking the comments. Stop asking for feedback from people who haven't achieved what you want to achieve. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Start doing. Start making decisions in a vacuum. Ask yourself, if I could never tell a soul about this accomplishment, would I still want to do it? If the answer is no, you're chasing a ghost. If the answer is yes, you've found your mission. You don't need their permission. You don't need a like to validate your work ethic. You don't need a share to validate your worth. The only validation that matters is the one you see in the mirror at the end of a 16-hour day. The power of being disliked. There is a massive competitive advantage in being willing to be the villain in someone else's story. If you are terrified of being misunderstood, you will never do anything worth understanding. The public respects strength, but they test it with ridicule. If you fold at the first sign of criticism, You prove you weren't ready for the top. But if you stand firm, if you keep your head down and stay obsessed with the objective, something strange happens. The same public that mocked you will eventually start to study you. The ghost will try to claim you as its own. But by then, you won't care. Because you've realized that their respect is just as hollow as their hate. Neither one feeds you. Neither one builds the empire. They are a ghost. You are the reality. You must become a fortress. A fortress does not move because the wind blows. A fortress does not change its shape because people standing outside think it should be a different color. It stands. It endures. It fulfills its purpose regardless of the weather. It's not about popularity, it's about persistence. The reality of the arena. The only people whose opinions should carry weight are the people in the arena with you. The people who are also sweating, also bleeding, and also taking risks. And here's a secret, those people don't have time to criticize you. They are too busy fighting their own battles. The public is made up of people in the stands. They paid for a ticket to watch, but they aren't playing the game. Why are you letting the person in row 42, seat B, dictate your strategy? They don't know the playbook. They don't know the stakes. That's the key. You must disqualify the spectators. When you stop caring about the ghost, you gain a superpower, focus. Imagine how much faster you could move if you weren't carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. Imagine the clarity you would have if you only answered to your own standard of excellence. You have a choice. You can be liked, or you can be great. You can be popular, or you can be powerful. You cannot be both. Choose the reality. Choose the work. Choose the discipline. They are a ghost. You are the reality. Conclusion. The crowd is a mirage. It shimmers in the distance, promising you water, but when you reach for it, you find only sand. Stop thirsting for their approval. It will never satisfy you. It will only make you more desperate, more diluted, and more forgettable. You have exorcised the ghost of the public. You are alone in the room with your ambition, and that is exactly where you need to be. Now that you aren't listening to the noise of the world, it's time to listen to the silence of your own intent. You stopped living for them. Now you must learn how to handle the most dangerous person in the room, yourself. The ghost is gone. Now, let's talk about the weight of what remains. Chapter 9. Mastering the Art of the Gray Rock. Listen closely. Not every battle is worth your fire. In the previous chapters, we talked about standing tall and being the reality in a world of ghosts. But sometimes, the world tries to drag you into the mud. Sometimes, you are surrounded by people who don't want to build, they only want to harvest your energy. They are the manipulators, the narcissists, the drama seekers. They feed on your reactions. They thrive on your outrage. If you give them a spark, they will start a fire that burns down your productivity. If you give them a word, they will twist it into a weapon. You think you need to defend yourself. You think you need to win the argument. You don't. You have a choice. You can be a lightning rod, or you can be a stone. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. The economy of attention. Attention is the most valuable currency you own. Every time you react to a toxic person, you are handing them a check signed with your life force. You are paying them to stay in your head. The manipulator is a predator of emotion. They poke, they prod, and they provoke because they want a response. Any response. They want you to get angry. They want you to cry. They want you to explain yourself until you're blue in the face. Why? Because as long as you are reacting, they are in control. That's the key. Control belongs to the person who feels the least. When you engage with a toxic individual, you're giving them exactly what they need to thrive, stimulus. If you want them to go away, you must starve them. You must become the most uninteresting object in their universe. You must become a gray rock. A gray rock is just there. It's dull. It's unremarkable. It doesn't change color when it's kicked. It doesn't scream when it's stepped on. It just exists. By becoming a gray rock, You become useless to the predator. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. The mechanics of the stone. So, how do you do it? How do you transform from a high achiever with a mission into a boring, unreactive stone? It starts with your mouth. When a prying neighbor asks about your personal business, you don't tell them to get lost. That's a reaction. That's drama. Instead, you give them nothing. How's work going? I heard there were layoffs. Your response, it's fine. What are you doing this weekend? You're always so busy. Your response, just chores. Short. Polite. One-word answers. No follow-up questions. No elaboration. No emotional tone. You aren't being rude, you are being unavailable. It's not about being mean, it's about discipline. If a toxic coworker tries to bait you into office politics, you don't take the bait. You don't nod. You don't whisper. You say, I haven't noticed, and you go back to your spreadsheet. You are a void. You are a black hole for their nonsense. You don't need their permission to end a conversation. You end it by providing zero value to their ego. When they realize they can't get a hit of dopamine from your reaction, they will move on to a target that provides more entertainment. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. Emotional decoupling. The hardest part of the gray rock method isn't the words you say. It's the emotions you feel. When someone attacks your character or lies about you, your lizard brain screams for justice. You want to set the record straight. You want to show them the truth. Stop. The truth doesn't matter to a manipulator. They aren't looking for truth, they are looking for a fight. If you try to defend yourself, you've already lost. You've let them move you. You've let them dictate the temperature of your soul. You have a choice. You can validate their existence by fighting back, or you can delete their influence by remaining cold. Discipline is the ability to feel the surge of anger and choose to do absolutely nothing with it. Let it wash over you like water over a rock. The rock doesn't get wet on the inside. The rock stays solid. It's not about your ego, it's about your mission. Every second you spend winning an argument with a fool is a second you stole from your own greatness. Is their opinion worth your time? No. Is their drama worth your peace? Never. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. Behavioral instruction, the non-reactive audit. I want you to identify the drainers in your life right now. The people who make your phone feel heavy when their name pops up. The people who leave you feeling exhausted after a 5-minute conversation. Stop doing. Stop explaining your why. Stop trying to make them understand your perspective. Stop reacting to their passive-aggressive jabs. Start doing. Practice the boring response. Use MHM. Use maybe. Use I'm not sure. Keep your face neutral. Keep your body language still. If they try to escalate to get a rise out of you, stay the course. This is a test of your will. They want to see if they can crack the stone. If you hold firm, if you remain the gray rock, they will eventually get bored. They will find someone else to plague. That's the key. You aren't trying to change them. You are trying to make yourself invisible to their radar. You are protecting your focus. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. The sovereignty of silence. There is a massive power in being the person who cannot be moved. Most people are like wind vanes. They spin whichever way the social wind blows. If someone is nice to them, they're happy. If someone is mean to them, they're miserable. They have no center. They have no sovereignty. But when you master the art of the gray rock, you claim your sovereignty. You decide who gets access to your emotions. You decide who gets to see your fire. And hint, it's not the person trying to sabotage you. Save your passion for your work. Save your intensity for your family. Save your words for your allies. For the toxic, the prying, and the manipulative, offer only the stone. You don't need their permission to walk away mentally. You don't need to win the social game to win the life game. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. Conclusion. Mastering the gray rock isn't about being weak. It is the ultimate display of strength. It is the discipline to value your energy more than your urge to be right. It is the realization that you owe nothing to those who seek to diminish you. By becoming a rock. Chapter 10, The Untouchable Mindset, Forever Free. You have learned to ignore the ghosts. You have learned to become the stone. But now, we reach the summit. Most people treat emotional detachment like a shield they pick up when they're under attack and drop the moment the sun comes out. They think it's a tactic. They think it's a trick to get through a bad day or a difficult meeting. They are wrong. Emotional detachment is not a temporary tool. It is a permanent evolution of your soul. It is the final stage of your transformation from a victim of circumstance to a master of reality. It is the state of being forever free. I am the mountain. The wind does not move the mountain. Think about that. The wind can howl. It can scream. It can throw dust and ice and fire. But the mountain does not debate the wind. The mountain does not try to convince the wind to be nicer. The mountain simply remains. The sovereignty of consent. There is a fundamental law of human psychology that you have been ignoring your entire life. No one can hurt you without your consent. People can say words. They can take actions. They can move pieces on a chessboard. But the hurt, the sting, the resentment, the distraction, that happens inside you. And you are the one who signs the permit to let it in. You have a choice. You can leave the gate open and let every passing stranger trample your inner garden, or you can lock the gate and keep the keys. That's the key. Freedom isn't the absence of critics, it's the absence of the need for them to be anything other than what they are. When you reach this level, you realize that an insult and a compliment are actually the same thing: noise. If a stranger walks up to you and tells you that you are a three-headed purple monster, do you get angry? No. You laugh. Or you walk away. Why? Because you know it's not true. You are certain of your reality. So why do you get angry when someone calls you lazy, or greedy, or arrogant? It's because a part of you is still seeking their validation. A part of you hasn't become the mountain yet. I am the mountain. The wind does not move the mountain. The compliment trap. To be truly untouchable, you must give up your addiction to praise. This is where most people fail. They want to be immune to criticism, but they still want to be fed by compliments. You cannot have one without the other. If you give someone the power to make you feel great by praising you, you're simultaneously giving them the power to make you feel worthless by insulting you. You have handed them the remote control to your nervous system. You don't need their permission to feel successful. An untouchable mindset means that when someone tells you you're a genius, you say thank you and forget it in 10 seconds. When someone tells you you're a failure, you say okay and forget it in 5. Neither statement changes the work. Neither statement changes the mission. It's not about ego, it's about discipline. The discipline to keep your internal compass calibrated to your own North Star, regardless of the weather. If you are chasing the high of a good job, you are a slave. If you are running from the low of a you suck, you are a slave. Break the chains. Become indifferent to the noise. I am the mountain. The wind does not move the mountain. Behavioral instruction, the zero reaction policy. Transformation requires a shift in how you process information in real time. From this moment forward, I want you to adopt the zero reaction policy. Stop doing. Stop explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you. Stop checking your phone to see how your latest win was received by the world. Stop replaying arguments in your head 5 hours after they happened. Start doing. Start observing your emotions as if they belong to someone else. When you feel that spike of irritation or that rush of vanity, look at it. Say, that's an interesting sensation. Then, go back to work. If you receive a scathing email, read it for facts only. If there are no facts, delete it. If there is a compliment, read it for facts. If it's just fluff, ignore it. You have a choice. You can spend your day reacting to the wind, or you can spend your day building the mountain. The freedom of the arena. When you are forever free, you become a terrifying opponent in any field of play. Why? Because you cannot be intimidated. You cannot be bought. You cannot be seduced by the crowd. A man or woman who wants nothing from the public is the only one who can actually lead the public. Most people are playing a game of don't offend anyone. They move slowly. They speak softly. They take zero risks because they are terrified of the wind. But the mountain? The mountain doesn't care about the wind's opinion. The mountain stands tall and lets the wind break itself against its cliffs. When you stop caring, you start winning. You take the shots others are too afraid to take. You speak the truths others are too afraid to utter. You stay in the arena long after everyone else has gone home because you aren't waiting for a trophy or a round of applause. You are there because that is where you belong. It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. You are aligned with your purpose, and that purpose is sturdier than any social trend. I am the mountain. The wind does not move the mountain. The final evolution. This mindset is not a destination, it is a practice. Every day, the world will try to pull you off your base. It will try to make you care about things that do not matter. It will try to make you small. But you have the secret now. You know that the world is just a collection of opinions, and opinions have no mass. They have no weight. They only have the power you give them. That's the key. You are the architect of your own internal landscape. If you decide that you are untouchable, then you are. No one can break into a mind that is guarded by the discipline of indifference. You don't need their permission to be happy. You don't need their permission to be proud. You are the judge, the jury, and the executioner of your own standards. When you look at the sunset doesn't care if you like it. It just glows. When you look at the mountain, it doesn't care if you climb it. It just stands. Be that. Be the reality that exists regardless of who is watching. I am the mountain. The wind does not move the mountain. Conclusion. You have traveled a long road. You have stripped away the need for approval. You have mastered the art of the stone. And now, you have become the mountain. You are no longer a victim of the ghosts, or the public, or the manipulators. You are a sovereign entity. You are forever free because your value is generated from within, not granted from without. But freedom is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning. Because once you are free from the weight of other people's opinions, you are finally light enough to move at the speed of your true potential. The wind has stopped howling. The air is clear. And for the first time, you can see exactly how much work there is left to do. You mastered your mind. Now, let's talk about the only thing that proves it. The closing, the executioner's discipline. Music begins as a low pulsing bass, a rhythmic heartbeat-like drive that slowly builds in intensity and layering. We are at the end of the explanation, but we are at the beginning of the execution. You have spent the last hour and a half consuming the blueprint. You have heard the arguments. You have looked at the ghosts of social approval. You have learned the art of the gray rock. You have ascended the mountain of the untouchable mindset. But let me be very clear, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only the potential for power. Power is what happens when you actually refuse to react. Power is the moment you choose silence over satisfaction. You have a choice. Right now, you can take these lessons and treat them like another motivational fix, a hit of dopamine that fades by tomorrow morning. Or you can become the executioner of your own weakness. It's not about your feelings, it's about your discipline. The responsibility of the sovereign. From this second forward, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You have been stripped of your excuses. You can no longer claim that he made me angry, or she ruined my day. No one can ruin your day unless you hand them the tools to do it. No one can steal your peace unless you leave the vault wide open. You are the sovereign of your mind. You are the master of your emotions. Think about the currency you have been wasting. You have been spending your priceless life force on people who are morally and emotionally bankrupt. You have been giving your best mental energy to strangers on the internet, toxic relatives, and prying neighbors who don't even like themselves. That stops today. That's the key. You must value your internal state more than you value the external outcome of any social interaction. If the world is on fire, your internal garden must remain cool. If the crowd is cheering, your internal garden must remain still. You don't need their permission to be the most disciplined person in the room. You don't need their permission to be cold, if that coldness is what protects your mission. The ultimate test. The world does not want you to be untouchable. The world wants you reactive. The world wants you predictable. The world wants you to click, to comment, to argue, and to cry. Why? Because a reactive person is a person who can be sold. A reactive person is a person who can be controlled. By choosing emotional detachment, you are committing an act of rebellion. You are becoming a glitch in the system. Music, the intensity rises. Percussion becomes more aggressive, sharper. When you go out into the world today, the tests will come. They will come in the form of a disrespectful comment at the office. They will come in the form of a passive-aggressive text from a family member. They will come in the form of a driver cutting you off in traffic. In that split second between the stimulus and your response, there is a space. In that space lies your entire future. If you react, you lose. You become just another gear in their machine. If you remain a gray rock, if you remain the mountain, you win. It's not about winning the argument, it's about winning your soul. You have a choice. You can be the person who reacts, or you can be the person who acts. One is a slave, the other is a king. The forceful summary. Let's burn this into your brain one last time. If they insult you, stay silent. Their words are ghosts, your silence is reality. If they praise you, stay silent. Their applause is a trap, your work is the reward. If they try to pull you into their chaos, walk away. You are not a garbage can for their emotional waste. Be boring. Be invisible. Be untouchable. Stop playing the game of who can shout the loudest. The person shouting the loudest is usually the one with the least to say. The person who is truly powerful is the one who can sit in a room full of noise and feel absolutely nothing. I am the mountain. The wind does not move the mountain. You have the tools. Now, you have the responsibility. You are no longer a puppet for the manipulative, the loud, or the dramatic. Your energy is your currency. Stop spending it on people who are bankrupt. Remember, the only way to win a game of manipulation is to stop playing. The final challenge. Music reaches a cinematic high-intensity climax. Full orchestral strings and heavy synth. I am done talking. The instruction is over. Now, the transformation begins. I have a challenge for you. It is a simple challenge, but it will be one of the hardest things you have ever done. Go into the world today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today, and find one person who tries to provoke you. Find that one person who always knows which buttons to push. When they push the button, do nothing. Look them in the eye. Say nothing. Offer no facial expression. Offer no defense. Feel the heat rise in your chest, and then watch it die because you refuse to feed it. In that moment of absolute silence, you will feel something you haven't felt in a long time, true power. You will realize that they are small, and you are vast. You will realize that they are desperate, and you are settled. That's the key. The power of silence is the power of the sovereign. Do it now. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is the moment you decide to take ownership. The world is waiting to see if you actually meant it. The world is waiting to see if you are a mountain or just another gust of wind. You don't need their permission to be free. You have a choice. Choose reality. Choose discipline. Choose yourself.